Jess.
What?
If you woke up one day, what's the very first thing you would do if you had a penis?
Well, the same thing I already do, which is go pee. Obviously, that's the first thing you do when you wake up. But you would not want to be around me. I would be the most obnoxious person.
I think you would. Yes, you would be like.
There would be no pants. I promise you that at all.
You would get like. You would be.
What? What would I be like if I had a
most
penis?
Immature people.
Oh, dude, come on. Okay, look, you have had 40 plus years to get used to your penis, all right? I just wake up and have one. All the fun things I could do.
Like what?
Oh, well, a lot of it I wouldn't, I really don't want out there in the public. But I mean, the helicopter obviously is like number one, right? You gotta, after peeing. Because I don't want to cause any accidents.
You could helicopter pee.
Yeah. And that thing you do where you go blah, 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 and it goes back and forth. Like you shake your hips around. Yeah. You regretting asking me this question yet?
No, not at all.
No, I would be the most obnoxious. I'd definitely hit you with it. Like absolutely have to smack you in the thigh with my enormous cock.
Sneaking up behind me and then
dude, so much. I'm telling you right now, Chad. If I ever wake up with a penis, you want to leave as soon as possible. Unless you don't. I'm just saying there's some other things I could do with it. I wouldn't want one all the time. But like 24, 48 hours, dude, that'd be fun.
I feel like all women have thought of this.
Sure. I mean, probably like a lot of guys wish they had boobs for a day, like just to, I don't know, jiggle around. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Well, okay, but you are one person.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do. If I woke up with a vagina, what would I do?
I'd hope you get your period. So you would know.
Am I just going to like try to find different things to jam up in there?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, this is your fantasy. If that's what you want. I mean, it wouldn't be fun if we both woke up swapped junk, though. Like if I had a penis and you had a vagina same day. I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want that at all. That. No. I that would take away from my penis time, I feel, and make it about you. And fuck you. This is my penis day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Already thinking like a man.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you.
Show about pop culture stuff. We keep watching and connected, but it's never enough. Talking with our friends about our favorite things, TV shows and movies and some random swearing. Hey! 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 This is the pretty, this is the little, this is the pretty little podcast.
Hello, all you pretty little people. Welcome to the Pretty Little Podcast. I'm your host, Deadbeat Chad, and with me is perpetual special guest, Jessica Moon.
Yay, it's me. Hi.
So today we are going to be taking a little trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
To a wonderful little decade known as the 90s. I think this was possibly the last decade with an identity. Ever since 2000, everything just kind of felt the same.
Well, part of that might just be your perception too, because
once we
grew
crossed
up
into the 2000s, everything just became this like digital hellscape.
Well, but that's an identity, isn't it?
Okay, tell me the difference between like the 2000s and the 2010s.
I mean, I could tell you in terms of anime. Big difference. I don't know, man. I also like.
Tell me the difference between
2000. I was in high school. 2010. I had a child, that was about to enter kindergarten. So I was in a very different part of my life.
I'm just talking about like culturally, like pop culture, shit like that. Like we're just we're revisiting shit from the 80s and 90s
Well,
anymore. That's all
I
we do.
feel like we are, because that was our childhood and our
I'm
like
talking about
adolescence.
like, movies that are getting made.
That by
And-
people our age.
I guess. But it's just, it's.
I
so
know you love
tiresome.
the 90s. But my issue with all of that shit, like fucking that bullshit movie, Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
whatever. I hate that movie. I don't like it because they don't fucking get it right. They play songs that were popular. Oh, there's a Blockbuster. Bitch, I lived the 90s. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
that was all there, but
you didn't walk into a Blockbuster and hear No Doubt.
I
playing on the
no,
radio.
I did not. Now, did I have No Doubt? Like, did I have Tragic Kingdom? Absolutely. And their albums that came after, I loved No Doubt. Gwen Stefani's fucking awesome. But I don't know. It's like they're trying to capture a feeling, and when they leave out they often leave out so much of the best shit from my memories.
Yeah,
of the
and we're going
90s.
to correct that today.
Yeah, sorry,
Because
Gwen. I'm not going to talk about you anymore.
Growing up in the 90s was I'm very lucky to have experienced that, I think.
I think we were the last generation really allowed to be free range children, is how I think of it. Like, just out all fucking day on like bikes or rollerblades or,
and I mean,
just
I'm sure
gone.
there was some level of anxiety with our parents. Like,
I don't
anything
know
could
that there
happen, but-
was, because like, dude, Columbine happened. I was already in high school,
Mhm.
you know? So like
Yeah.
that whole thing wasn't really, at least where I grew up, wasn't talked about. It wasn't really a thing. I mean, I grew up probably pretty sheltered, but
I vaguely remember Columbine happening.
I remember
I
Columbine
remember a lot better
happening.
now after the fact because of all the documentaries and shit.
Yeah,
coming out,
I know my mom was worried, but I didn't really. I was like, man, that's fucking crazy.
I was really too young to be paying attention to the news. and
well,
shit
I
when that
mean,
happened.
like I said, I was in high school, so
The first like big event I remember was 9/11.
and that happened when I was in high school too. That
Yeah,
was my
it-
senior year, and yeah, that was my senior year of high school. Was 9/11, and I wrote it in my daybook. I wrote WTC attacked
Yeah, I
and
mean, I
3
remember-
exclamation points.
I remember exactly where I was.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
do too.
exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
And,
I was
but-
listening to Jagger and Julie on the way to school on the edge when
mhm.
the second plane hit the tower, because she was the one that said it. I remember that.
yeah.
It's true. Anyways, that's we're here to talk about the 90s, not 9/11.
Not 2001.
Not 2001.
Okay, so what is the first thing that comes to your head when you think of the 90s?
Honestly, freedom rather than things is
Mhm.
just being outside. It's dumb things that me and my friends would get up to.
Yeah,
You know?
it's definitely a feeling and not stuff.
Yeah. But I do have a list of stuff that I miss too. But no, it's taking the refrigerator cardboard box, like a big box that our new fridge came in, taking it with Steven and going over by the ballpark in Arlington where there's a big hill and sliding down the hill like into the street. We
Mhm.
used to run across I-30. You know, we would go every fight. We were fucking menaces. And my mom never knew. I told my mom like maybe 10 years ago that we used to run across 30, and she tried to ground me. And I was like, nope, I'm
married.
free. Yeah, I've been married. She was like, oh my God, Jessica. You know, it's drinking out of the hose, and like, I don't know, it's a bunch of shit, man.
There was a lot of just rambunctious, like,
We had a fort in the woods, you know, back in this park, like
we
over
definitely
there.
felt invincible.
Yeah,
We felt like any danger we were in, everything around us was going to come
it
save us. and-
didn't even occur to us.
No, it
Like,
didn't.
truthfully, like we would rollerblade. You know, in Arlington, Brown Trail, that big hill. Not Brown Trail, Brown Boulevard. Brown
Oh,
Trail's
yeah.
in Hearst.
Yes.
You know that big hill that's over by the McDonald's? We
Mhm.
would rollerblade down that.
Yeah.
You know, and not
I
think
got
twice.
stuck on that hill one time in a car of mine that was a standard, and it was icy.
Oh no,
and I
you're
was stuck at
dude.
the
That no,
light, and I
you're
could not
fucked.
get up that fucking hill.
No, you can't.
People had to go around me, and then I just like put it neutral and slowly slid back.
You're gonna have to like go back and find another way to
Yeah.
get up to Collins, because that ain't happening.
But yes, I know exactly what hill you're talking about.
You know, yeah, we would just, I don't know, we were out, and then we'd stop and eat, I don't know, chicken tender somewhere.
Yeah.
And then go get film developed at Eckerd's.
I also did a lot of sleepovers. I guess spending the night at friends' houses
Sure.
and stuff, and I kind of miss that too. Not that I would do that now.
Like, you want to ask Chucky if you want? If you ask me nicely, you could go sleep over at his house if you wanted.
No, I'd rather him sleep over here.
Oh,
My stuff's
to be fair, he has. It's been a few years, but he spent nights at our then apartment.
I have better stuff than he does, so we would have more fun.
Am I the better stuff?
Yeah. Sure.
You're like, I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, just like, I don't know. The idea of a Friday night was very different back then than it is today.
Yeah.
Friday night means nothing to me anymore, really. It's just a day, whereas like that was everything when you were a kid. That meant 2 whole days that you weren't going to school, and which is kind of another thing too, is like I miss having breaks. I miss holiday breaks.
Yeah, no, that's real. Fucking summer vacation and shit.
Yes, give me a holiday break. Give me a summer vacation.
But I don't think that's exclusive to the 90s.
No, but like, I mean, it really meant something back then. A holiday break from school meant like.
Man, I was never in my house. Like, I was in my house in the morning and then at night. The rest of the time I was gone.
Yeah, but during like Christmas break.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're just like, man, this is going to be like 3 weeks of playing video games and like doing whatever the fuck I want to do. Yeah, I kind of remember, those winter break, summer break, things like that. That was definitely like the like time to get together with your friends and like all go to somebody's house and pass out on their floor.
Yeah, I did do a lot of floor sleeping.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of like very uncomfortable floors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And just sleeping on it like it wasn't even shit. But now that I'm older,
I was like, our bones could handle it.
I
then
can lay on the floor for a little bit.
I like
nice,
our bed.
I can't.
You are more of a floor person even now. That I do not
It
understand.
feels good on my back.
If you say so.
Hey.
My butt's too big. I can't lay flat on my back without putting my knees up.
I have a very small butt. So.
You have a tiny little husband butt, and I think it's cute and perfect.
Yeah.
I do not have a tiny little butt.
There's nothing wrong with that. So what do you have first on your list? Like, okay.
I bet you can guess what I have.
We both have a number one thing.
Yes, and it's number one.
The last thing we talk about.
Okay.
We're not leading with that.
Well, then don't ask what's number one on my list.
I meant like...
It's the first thing I wrote down.
Okay, what's number 2 on your list?
Oh, Fruitopia.
Fruitopia. All right, so Fruitopia.
Yeah.
What this is.
It's a drink.
Do you want to tell them?
Dude, the fucking fuck you, first of all. Like, it was awesome because, like, and I remember the vending machines, everything in the 90s, like, when it came to, like, advertisements and shit was, like, big and loud and bam and, like, so radical, dude.
Yeah, colorful logos.
Yeah.
And, like, everything just in your
Everything
face.
now is, like, minimalistic and apathetic and sad. Like, what they've done to the Pringles, man, is a war crime. But anyways.
It was almost designed to match your outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well, but like, so I never really drank Snapple, right? Like, it's a Snapple-y type drink. It's just a fruit mix that's probably mostly corn syrup because just like Snapple's terrible for you. Like, it's not juice.
All of it's bad.
I know. Surge, I liked a lot too. But
Yeah,
I found that like
now
a
you're
few years ago.
radioactive.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna survive. I saw Surge at Walmart a few years ago, and I was like, "Ah!"
It never went away. It just did here for a while.
Well, but I didn't have it. I drank the shit out of it. But no, Fruitopia, I don't remember the flavor. I just remember the label was blue and orange, and it was my favorite one. And I would get it from the vending machine. I don't know. You ask what I miss. Like, that's what I think of. It's things like that.
What was the drink that had the like floating balls in it?
Orbits.
Orbits.
Or
Yeah,
is
that was gross.
Yeah. I liked balls. The BAWLS. It was like super sweet Sprite, kind of.
Yeah.
It tasted kind of like that. That shit was good. Do you remember Jolt Cola?
Yes.
I used to drink so much soda. I don't drink soda like ever anymore.
The 90s was definitely.
I survived on my freshman year of high school when I was so tiny. Like I was a size 3. I was a wee me, and I survived on Dr. Pepper and Skittles. That was my lunch every fucking day.
I was Mr. Pibb and Twix.
Well, there you go. Aw.
Every kid had their soda and candy
Coke
fix.
combination.
Just constantly carrying around candy and soda.
Yeah.
And,
No, it's true. And it's not like I was the only one at my table. Everybody was like that.
And no wonder we have problems today.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Everything's fine.
But yeah, I recommend every one of you out there stop drinking soda because it's terrible for you.
Well, we will occasionally have a root beer here or something, but more often than not, we don't really partake.
I just don't even care for it. I like coffee and I like water.
Yeah.
I like smoothies.
Nut and sweetened seltzer. You like that stuff.
But that's about it.
It's pretty all right. I've been drinking this kefir yogurt drink with a lot of probiotics, and it's strawberry flavor. And it's fucking delicious. It's like zingy and a little sweet. Very good for you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I miss about the 90s is video games impressing me. They don't impress me anymore. I don't really see a difference between like the last generation of consoles and this one as far as like gameplay.
Well, I literally got a PS5 today and I got Persona 3 Reload, so we'll see if that one blows you away. I get Elden Ring too.
I stopped being like the transition between like PlayStation and PlayStation 2 was like really the last time.
Do you think I can play Jack and Daxter on my PS5? Is there a way to do that? The Precursor Legacy?
I mean, you could probably.
That's a little after the 90s, but I love that fucking game.
I wouldn't suggest getting a disc to play it because I don't think that will work.
No.
But
I wonder if they have it in the PlayStation Store. No, I know what you mean though, because like I wasn't really a PlayStation kid. I was a feral child by that point, so I wasn't really playing video games. But I vividly remember the first time walking into my dad's apartment because they had gotten a Super Nintendo and seeing the Yoshi's Island, like for Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, that first world.
Well, that was a
blew
massive transition.
My fucking mind.
Between a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo. That was drastic.
Tiny me, like I literally stood there with my mouth open, just gaping at what is this beautiful, what my brain could not have imagined.
Yeah, well,
something that looks so beautiful.
I was a Sega kid. I had a Nintendo, but I also had a Sega Genesis.
Yeah, so did we.
Eventually became a Sega CD,
right?
Which eventually became a Sega 32X, and it just seemed like everything was just getting better and better. Shortly after that, I wound up getting a PlayStation, and the PlayStation was like the first thing that I remember just like really, really being blown away because it came with a demo disc. And I just remember there being a trailer on it for some NFL game that I really couldn't have cared less about. But it was like the actual players. It was video footage of the actual players talking about the game. And I just remember like calling my parents into my room going,
you guys, come look at this.
Because this was even pre-DVD. Like, you know, this was on a disc and I wasn't really a computer guy. I didn't play games other than at like friends' houses.
Yeah.
And I know that like, you know, as far as PC goes, they were already doing.
Yeah, I played like Myst
video.
and stuff like
there
that.
But stuff like that on the Sega CD as well. But like for some reason, the PlayStation is the one that I remember just blowing my mind. And shortly after that, I had wound up getting 2 games that came out in 1997.
Yeah.
That were, I mean, listeners out there could probably guess what these 2 games are.
I literally have no idea. So
that would be Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, of course.
And Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Oh, your favorite game of all time.
My favorite game of all time. And
Symphony of the Night.
To this day, it still is.
I know.
Still love that fucking game. I will play it anytime, anywhere.
I bought you a shirt that said what?
It was just the map.
No, but no, I know, but he said, what was it? God damn it, what's the fucking
What is a
quote?
man?
Yeah.
A miserable little.
Yeah,
pile of
because your shirt said I'm a miserable little pile of secrets. And I was like, tee hee. And you didn't like it, I don't think, but I
Yeah.
thought it was funny.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night blew my mind. Like,
Yeah.
for what? Because I liked Castlevania games up to that point, and this one was just massive. Whereas playing a Castlevania game really meant like 5 to 7 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And this I remember just spending my summer vacation playing this game. That, alternating between that and Final Fantasy, which is another game that absolutely blew me away.
Yeah.
But like the subsequent games that came out after that, it just became less and less so because, I mean, now what is the difference between a Final Fantasy 14 and 15?
I mean, I don't know.
Graphically,
I haven't kept up. I mean, the redo of 7 looked really beautiful.
Yeah, I played the
first
remake.
part of it. You did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a great time playing it, but I mean, just it wasn't any different than any other game I've played recently. You know what I mean? It was like,
well, I think you also are just kind of moving out of video games as being a big source of like entertainment for you.
yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that probably plays into it. Like during that time,
that would change if something came around that like gave me that feeling again, that just blow me away. But I just
you need to be romanced.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. I need to be.
You're a
romanced.
high class bitch.
I need to be taken out to see a movie, have
Yeah.
a nice meal.
Mhm.
Get me in the mood.
Are you talking to Bethesda?
Yes. Well, like I'm not gonna get into Bethesda here because we're gonna do a video game episode.
I
point.
know. From Software, the problem is like you and I play very different games. I either go Stardew Valley or Dark Souls. Like those are my two, like
Yeah,
side.
I like fun games.
Yeah,
Dark
those
Souls
are both
is
very
too
fun.
punishing. I
No,
have played Dark Souls.
no, because once you learn how to like the enemy's movesets and everything, you can absolutely do it. It rewards you.
I just don't care to.
Ugh.
That is way too much work.
And the
for a video
lore is gorgeous. I love the lore. I love lore.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I'm not saying the game is.
You don't want to marry Sebastian in Stardew Valley?
I don't want to play Stardew Valley.
Oh my god!
I don't want a farm simulator game. I don't
It's
want. I don't
wonderful.
like simulators.
Maybe you can kill slimes in the mines if you wanted.
No, you can.
I can. I'm
cannot
so
do
good
that
at it.
and be fine.
I love Stardew Valley.
But no, especially when it comes to like a Dark Souls, like that's just,
Dude, From Software is fucking awesome.
it's too much work.
It depends on what you want out. It goes back
I'm
to
not
it
saying
depends
they're
on what
bad
you want out
games.
of a game.
I get that they are fantastic games. They have a huge following, and if you
I don't
like
care
them,
about that.
that's your
Well, I mean,
thing.
I'm glad for the company.
Good for you.
But
It's just not for me. But anyways,
Sega Channel though. That's on my list.
Sega Channel,
And that's video game related. We had Sega. Did you ever have Sega Channel?
I did not.
Oh, we
I
did.
only remember Sega Channel
My dad did.
because of just the video game magazines that I had as a kid. Did like little articles on it. It was something that I did not understand.
Dude, to this day, I don't know how the fuck they really did that. So Sega Channel was this thing where like, because it was before the internet really was widespread or anything. But if you subscribe, my dad subscribed to it. And to this day, I'm not sure how it works. There was a specific channel you change your TV to.
Mm-hmm. It was through a phone line.
Oh.
It worked through a phone line.
Because I was also in like
There was
7th grade, so I wasn't like,
right. There was an
I don't know,
adapter.
it just
you
kind of
hooked up to the
happened
back
in my
of your
house.
Sega, and you connected it through your phone line through one of those the phone.
So then it's one of the
jacks.
earlier examples of streaming type things because I know the games would change every month. There were different categories, like sports, kids, fantasy, whatever. And it really, to be completely honest, I don't remember many of the games being good, but they were fun. And it was things like Crystal the Pony or something like that. That I remember that when there was a Berenstein Bears game, and I will die on that fucking hill. I don't care what anybody says. I was a huge fan. Fuck you, Berenstein. So, games that we would not have had as our game of the week at Blockbuster. Like, because we would go and our dad would let us each pick a game to rent for the weekend or whatever.
Right.
I would never have wasted my choice on something like the Berenstein Bears. I don't remember. You'd go around and collect honeycomb or whatever. But it was there and it was different. Oh, sure, check this shit out. They did sometimes have good games. I remember we owned NHL 94 on the Sega Genesis, which I love that game, that hockey game.
Yeah.
They did often have it on Sega Channel, but it was a thing in our house for a while to like at the first of the month, wake up in the morning and like, okay, what do we have this month? Like, yeah, it was fucking cool.
That was a precursor to what we have now.
Yeah.
Game Pass and,
sure.
the PlayStation Plus and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this was game changing for sure. I didn't use it. I don't know anybody.
It was fucking cool. I'm the only person. I've never heard of anybody else that actually did it. I don't think it was around for very long. Either that or my dad couldn't afford to keep it going. So I don't actually know.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe I should look into that. I could do a YouTube video about Sega Channel.
But I do remember because I had a subscription to Nintendo Power. I had a subscription to Sega Visions, PlayStation Underground, all those magazines as a kid. I had subscriptions to, and Sega Visions had I guess it was, I don't know if it was the whole magazine, but it was definitely like a large portion of that issue was dedicated to Sega Channel because they were really trying to push this thing. And it's not even, I didn't even bring it up to my mom because I was like, the answer is no.
Oh, yeah. Well, like when it came to my dad's house, like it was very video game and movie centric because that was things he was interested in.
Yeah.
So like if he hadn't been into video games, then absolutely
my
not.
parents could not have cared less.
My
about
mom
video
didn't
games.
care.
There was no way I was talking my mom into
but my
spending
dad's house
$60-$70 a month on this shit or whatever.
And we had a ton of Genesis games. To this day I would play. They had a lot of good pinball games on the Genesis that I remember. Like Dragon's Fury is my favorite, and there was another one that was some kind of dinosaur one. Whatever. But
ironically, for the price of Sega Channel, you could have just went and bought a video game.
Yeah, but I was a child. I didn't pay for any of it.
I just don't understand how that was
You'd have to ask my dad, and he's been dead for 12 years. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but looking back, it would be interesting to know. Like, what did you have to give up? Because they didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was always much better off money-wise at my mom's house.
Well, you got to think about it too. Like, if that was $60 back then, what is that now?
I don't even know what it was back then.
At least $120 to $150 a month.
Yeah.
Today.
For like 20 to 50. I don't remember how many games there were. Yeah, there was like a few in each. I don't remember. I need to do more research on Sega Channel because I just have. It's one of those weird anachronisms from the 90s that like is just kind of out of nowhere and most people don't remember, but I have memories of, and I don't know.
I just don't have memories of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Tragic.
I was aware of it, but I never used it to have.
Yeah,
that
no, I get what you mean. It was just a funny sentence.
Now, my version of that probably would have been the PlayStation Underground because they would.
Yeah, see, I don't even know what that is.
Every month they would send you an issue, and it would come with a demo
that's
disc.
the magazine.
Yeah, it was a magazine that came through the mail. There would be a demo disc in every issue, and I could really have cared less about the magazine, but the demo discs themselves, they had playable versions of new games on it.
So is it like when you used to order a pizza and sometimes you get a game with it or a movie? Like that kind of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I mean it came in a bag like a. It was polybagged.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it's sealed, and it would have a disc inside the bag with the magazine. But I looked forward to that every month just because I wanted to play demos and shit. And I got to play the demo of, I think it was Final Fantasy Tactics, and I went and bought that like immediately after playing that.
So that is good marketing for them. It did result in sales like from you.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, IQ, Intelligent Cube, was another one that I played.
I remember you talking about that
game. Good luck now, because no one even knows about or cares about that game. And
I think you were looking for it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can find copies of it on Amazon or whatever, but like, I mean, I don't have my PlayStation 3 hooked up. I don't have my PlayStation 2 hooked up.
Yeah.
So
Do we have a regular PlayStation?
no, but we have a PS2.
No, I know. I was just like,
It
because
plays
because
PS1.
I know we have 2, 3, 4, 5. So I was like,
Yes.
do we have a regular one at this
the
point?
PlayStation 2 that we have plays PS1 games, and the PS3
No, I
we have
just
plays
meant like
PS1
the
games.
consoles. I was curious if we could just line them all up in a row if we
No.
wanted to.
I do
So we
not
have a lot of consoles. So I'd lose track of what we have.
Yeah, we do have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Too many to hook up at once, but yeah, that was my version of Sega Channel. Really, was PlayStation Underground magazine, where I just got demo discs every night.
I mean, that's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one does that anymore. You know.
Well, it's not super cheap to do, I wouldn't think.
Well, and now you can just, if you want to play a demo, you just go to the store
Yes.
and download it. Yeah.
So they do still do
Again-
it. They just don't mail it out.
Again, they
And when was
took
the last time
something
you
from-
checked the mail? Do
don't.
you wish you had your
There
gaming
was-
magazine
There was
still?
only bad news in the mailbox.
That's
why I
not
stay away from
true.
it. It's always bills or
My medication, my shampoo, a lot of my shit comes through the mail.
I get nothing in the mail.
Oh my god, do you want something from in the mail?
No.
Yeah.
There's a reason I don't get mail. It's because I don't want any. All right, so what's next on your list?
Movie phone.
Movie phone.
Hello and welcome to Movie Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see,
Press one.
to browse through current movie titles. Like I still know the whole fucking thing.
This is like calling time and temperature.
No, oh my god, that was my job. When I was a kid, my mom had me call time and temperature, and I felt so important
Yep.
to report to my mother what time it was and what the temperature was, as well as the weather for the day. I mean, I know she was probably just humoring me or like giving me something to do, you know, like, go for it, kid. But I have vivid memories of like, all right, I am contributing to the household. I'm going to help my single mother. I'm going to call time and temperature.
So movie phone.
Movie phone.
You want
'cause-
tell them what this is?
Well, yeah, because like I went to a shit ton of movies. Like the latter half of the 90s, definitely. Like we spent a lot of fucking time in the movies. And, you know, you'd buy a ticket for one and then just go see the other ones. Like just walk
Right.
into other theaters. Hey, what's going on in here? And no one really stopped you. I mean, we did have that like, oh, we'll have to be quiet or we'll get caught. But like
Yeah, we,
no one ever fucking
we
said
bought
anything.
tickets to see Mr. Bean and snuck into Starship Troopers.
See, that's
so-
another thing you had to do. If you didn't know older kids who could actually get tickets to rated R movies, you'd
Yeah.
have to buy it for something else and then like go see shit. But no, like so like because before the internet was so I don't know what it is. Like you can Google anything right now, or there's probably an app for
I could
whatever.
probably just pirate a movie that's in theaters.
Well, like
now.
right now, if I want movie tickets, I go to Fandango, the app on my phone. I see when they're playing at and I just buy tickets right there, and then I just walk in when I get there.
Yeah.
But you know, before you would either check the newspaper for the listings because you know they would be in the paper, or you call Movie Phone and listen to the Movie
or
Phone
you
guy.
drove up there.
I'm not doing. I
and
couldn't
looked at the
drive.
sign on
I
it.
didn't. Yeah. We had bikes, and we would go to the theater we usually went to is at the Six Flags Mall. So that was like 3 miles away from my house that I grew up in. And I'm not biking all the way up there just to see what the fucking time is. So you call Movie Phone.
We would basically just have one of our parents drop
I
us off
believe
at
it's
the mall.
444 Film.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We would just have one of our parents drop us off at the mall. First thing we'd do was go to the theater, see what movie we wanted to see, what time it was playing, and then we'd just hang out at the mall until it
Eat
was
Sbarro,
Yeah.
walk around, look at shit that we
steal
don't have money
shirts
to
from Hot
buy.
Topic, which was surprisingly easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
You just threw it over your shoulder and walked out with confidence. and
Maybe
they didn't
you
fucking-
did, but you were a little shit child. I was not. But no, man, you call Movie Phone, and it was this automated service, you know. But and it would, you know, figure out the theater, figure out what kind of movie. If you know the name, if not, you can browse, and it'll tell you when they start. That was the whole thing. But a lot of I think why it sticks around in people's minds is the Movie Phone guy. Like
Yeah, the
his
voice, for
voice. To be fair, I don't know who the Movie Phone guy is. I don't know. I I like
no
voice actors. I do not know the movie phone guy.
He's probably dead now.
Oh, that's terrible. I hope movie phone guy is doing well.
He was probably a robot. Who knows?
No, he was absolutely not a robot because I vaguely remember an interview with him on like VH1 or something. I was just flipping through and he like did the voice.
I love the 90s.
Probably. I mean, honestly, that seems like the thing. Yeah. So no, he was a real dude. But but yeah, I don't know.
Well, speaking of that, I kind of miss like movies being an event. Just throughout the 90s, like movies, especially during the summer, when a massive movie came out, like you couldn't escape it. If you went to a fast food restaurant, they were giving you cups with the movie on the cups.
Yeah.
They were. If you went to the grocery store, all the fucking products had like one example was the Godzilla movie that came out in '98.
Oh, the Matthew Broderick one. Yeah.
Anywhere you went, like I said, the fast food places were
That's true. It was really
cups
obnoxious. And then for it to be
Doritos had
turn out
pictures
what
of
it
Godzilla
was.
on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just not only that, but like selling you soundtracks. Like I don't give a fuck about soundtracks anymore.
Most of the soundtracks for movies are just it's a fucking Spotify playlist. Like you just look up 90s alternative. Here you go. 80s pop. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not creative.
They were doing the same thing when like the Batman movies were coming out.
Yeah. Batman Forever.
One Batman Returns
Yeah.
was another one that like everywhere you went, they were just like, here's your fucking Catwoman cup. You know,
You still have, you have those McDonald's cups somewhere.
I have a
The
ton of
Batman
cups.
Returns
yeah.
cups. And Jurassic Park, because I remember I
Jurassic
I
Park was
like
another
had
one.
to have the
Could not escape.
Dilophosaurus cup because it was my favorite dinosaur.
Yeah,
in
and
the
I mean,
movie?
like movies back then when they came out, they were events. You know, they took time to show you like if you were watching TV, they'd be like, "Here's a special look at and it'd show you an entire scene from the movie."
Well, I feel like they did that for quite a while with Marvel. It's just hopefully fewer and fewer people are giving a shit about the Marvel movies as they're coming out because
Oh, for sure,
fuck.
for sure. I mean, people I know are sick of this shit. anyway.
Good. But like that used to be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, they tried to recapture that, I think, but I don't think they succeeded. Like,
No.
no one did marketing like the 90s did marketing.
I mean, that's valid.
That was
Whether it was
like-
better or not, I don't know. It was definitely more in your face, but a lot of things in the 90s were very in your face.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh yeah,
our ketchup was in your face.
that's kind of what I was saying. Like when it came to like blockbuster movies being released, they made sure that they
Oh,
they
yeah.
put it in your face.
Sure. For
Everywhere
sure.
you looked, if you were watching TV, you were looking at the commercials. If you were eating dinner, you had your fucking
So,
cup.
yeah, you had your cereal. You had your.
Yeah,
I don't
your
know.
kids had
Your-
a Happy Meal toy.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
promoting this thing. So yeah, the 90s was like peak marketing, and I think it's been a downhill slide.
I used
ever
to
since.
enjoy commercials. Like, truthfully, you and I will sit there and watch commercials, like compilations on
Well, here's the
YouTube, but
thing.
now they're fucking
I
dumb and
hated
obnoxious.
commercials at the time
Really?
because they interrupted my show.
Oh.
But now that I'm older,
I
they're
like them.
nostalgic, and now I'm like, I want to go back and watch them now.
Yeah.
'Cause, like some of them, it's crazy how many I remember.
Yeah,
that I
that's
just forgot over
that's
time.
what's funny is these compilations, watching them, and it unlocks
Hearing
this
a jingle,
old ass thing in
yes,
your
and
mind, and
you're
you're like,
like,
oh,
"Oh my God."
I know this.
I used to sing that to
Yeah.
my mom to piss her off.
I can absolutely see you doing that.
But yeah, that was one of the things too. Like not only just movies coming out, but also like holidays,
Hmm.
like Christmas, Halloween. You know, if you went to the grocery store during Halloween, the entire fucking store
Yeah.
was decorated with Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to Target during Halloween, it's a sad little. part
Dude,
of the
Target
corner of the
used to be
store.
a cool fucking place to go. Like they would change out their shit every year
It
and
is
it'd be like, what is
pathetic.
the design of the ghosts and the bats this year? I got to see because I'm probably going to buy them. And yeah, the last
just
few
gets
years have been
progressively more
really
and more pathetic
disappointing.
over time.
Really disappointing. I'm like, oh, or like last year, I think they had a ghost that I liked, this cute ghost boy. Sheep, like ghost
Yeah,
thing, but he
yeah.
was cute. But all they had them on was like a big like wooden thing for your yard, and I was like, but I wanted like a hand towel or something. I like, God damn it, I don't need this big fucking thing.
Well, in the 90s, if you went into like Kroger during Halloween,
Kroger, they really always
thing
went.
You were going to see was it's going to be a giant pumpkin made out of Coca-Cola.
I was gonna say it's always the soda like displays, like the bit, like
Yes,
the
they were
boxes. They
massive.
would they did that for football a lot too.
And they just,
At least around
the
here,
entire store
huge
was decorated.
designs made out of like soda boxes.
Like cereal boxes
Yeah.
were like Halloween. Everything had a Halloween theme to it, including the store, and it was just nice. You knew what season you were getting into.
Yeah, and you need those cues in Texas because it's not always super obvious what season you're in.
Yeah, right.
In October, it's probably still hot.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I kind of miss that. I miss like stores giving a fuck
Mm.
and like just going all out.
Well, and I know that like some of them, like on Halloween, would actually give you candy. Like they would have little stations set up for kids.
yeah, and if you went over to like the bakery, they would have like
Mhm.
pumpkin cookies they would just give you or whatever. Like it was just like a different
It was cool.
feeling all around.
Yeah.
You
I mean, to be fair, we don't go inside Kroger. They could still be doing this shit. I just need it out there.
no.
It's possible. When is the last time you went inside
I
a
drive
Kroger?
past a Kroger to get to my vape store all the time. Or is that a Tom Thumb?
You fucking do not. An Albertsons.
It's Albertsons. Whatever. They're all the same. None of them are doing it. None of them.
Fucking
They all
liar.
suck.
Oh, wow. Hot take. Spend time and decorate for Halloween for my benefit, assholes.
Even though I'm never going to go in there.
Even
again,
though
and
I do not
I
help
hate you all.
decorate my own house for Halloween and have nothing to do, I occasionally will hand out candy at the door if I haven't
No,
already gone to
I
bed.
don't want to work for a feeling. okay?
Exactly. You want
I
things done for
I
you.
want-
And
I demand
oh my
that
God.
my stores decorate.
That even
for
though
Halloween.
you don't go inside a store. Because I order groceries
Spirit
online
Halloween
and go.
barely decorates for Halloween.
Well, Spirit Halloween's garbage. It's good.
Moving on. What's next?
I don't know, man. There's other food that I miss that doesn't exist anymore. Like the Nestle Alpine White was a candy bar that I really liked.
I never experienced this game.
Yeah, well, it was delicious. Okay, so there was this thing, and I am owed a candy bar from my I am owed specifically a Nestle Alpine White from my elementary school principal. Because
They're probably dead.
yeah, shut up. She was lovely. No, because I was this may come as a surprise to you, but I was actually the kid at my elementary school who did the announcements in the morning. Thank you. It was very good. And yeah, no, I would go and do I don't know how did I get that job? I have no
I
idea.
don't know. I was flag boy. I don't know how I got that job.
Well, yeah, I also was safety patrol for a time. But anyways, that was a different school. No, at my school in Carrollton, I was the girl who did the announcements at Dale B. Davis Elementary School. I love that school.
Shout out.
Heyo, go Dolphins.
We're not Dolphins.
Yeah. But no, part of it was because they couldn't pay me, obviously, right? But she told me that she, would have a Nestle Alpine. She asked me what my favorite candy bar was. And I told her at the time it was a Nestle Alpine White. White chocolate, fucking delicious. Kind of like a Crunch, but white chocolate, right?
I don't like white chocolate.
Well, fuck you. It's delicious. And anyways, the last day of school, she had told me in the morning, she was like, hey, come by after school. I've got your candy for you. And I was like, awesome, thank you. And it was the last day of 4th grade. No, I'm sorry. I'm a liar. Christmas break, 5th grade. That's when it was because I could never go back. No, fuck you. Listen. So I forgot to go by. I forgot to go by once school was out because I had other things on my mind. And over Christmas break in 5th grade, I moved from Carrollton to Arlington because my mom got married. She was pregnant with my brother at the time. I had to leave everything I'd ever known, including my Nestle Alpine White, because I forgot to go by the fucking principal's office and pick it up. And I will never. No, hold on.
You're saying that you're owed
I am.
Because you forgot.
Yes, I
This
still
is
I
your
still
fault.
want it. I didn't say it was her fault.
That candy bar was there.
I
She doesn't
know.
you shit.
I know. I
You don't owe
I-
Jessica anything, Principal.
I don't even
Principal, what's her name?
I don't remember.
Wow. Wow. You see how
I
little
remember
she
what
cares?
she looks like. Yeah, it's just, short, sandy, blonde haircut, and then like an alpine white for her face. That's what I recall.
She's just a walking candy
But no,
bar.
I had other shit on my mind because I was sad that I was never going to see my school again. And I remember walking home, and this boy Jason and his cousin Anthony were behind me. And Anthony was like, "See you in 1995, Jessica." And then I could hear Jason be like, "No, dude, she's moving away, remember?" And then that was like, "Oh." And that was like the last time I talked to anybody in elementary school. I was sad.
Part of growing up in the 90s was learning how to deal with trauma
This is my trauma.
all by yourself, silently, and never showing emotion about it, and just dealing with it and moving on.
I
I'm
never
not
got that
wrong either.
alpine
Like,
white.
there was a lot of like traumatic shit that
Of course there
kids
is.
went through in the 90s, and we were just like told to deal with it, you know?
Yeah,
Suck it up.
well, yeah, of course. And I went home to my empty apartment because I was a latchkey kid because, my mom had to work. And then I moved, and then I was bitter, and then I was fine. And now I'm here.
Well, at least now you're a well-adjusted adult.
I'm fine. They stopped making the Nestle Alpine White, and I could have had one more in my lifetime.
I guarantee you that's still alive and well in Mexico.
No way.
It has to be. Like, that's where all of our products go.
The Oreo O's, which I don't care about,
Yeah.
but I know that's like a thing.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how many of our products get discontinued here and just show up in Mexico.
My brain is just with the candy that I never got. So, what else do you have to talk about missing the 90s?
I miss my mom being alive.
Wow. Okay, we're taking this route.
Yeah.
To be fair, she was alive in the 2000s too, babe.
Yeah, but in the 90s, she was like really alive. You know? That was like her most alive I've ever seen her.
She was probably more alive before she had you.
No. No,
The ego.
I brought purpose to her
I
world.
brought meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was meaningless until I came
Well,
along.
tell me about your mom in the 90s.
Well, first of all, she was kind of a boring person, but I do remember, like, she definitely did her best to like cart me around wherever I needed to go, because I was one of those people that, like, I had my own money just due to, like, I had a job at Kroger. I was working in the bakery at a Kroger, and the rule was I had to save half of my check, and then the other half I could fuck around and do whatever I wanted with. So she was definitely driving me around every time, like, a new movie came out that I wanted to buy, or anytime a new album came out that I wanted. Like, she would drive me up to fucking CDX, shout out. That was the best
I remember
CD store
CDX.
ever
Yep.
in the fucking world.
CD Exchange.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's go there. I miss CDX. This was a store that it was in Hearst, Texas. It was in a shopping center.
Yeah.
You had to know it was there because you couldn't really
It's over by
see it.
Northeast Mall.
Yeah, you really couldn't see it from the road.
There was a Furs over there too.
Yeah, there used to be a Furs.
Mm-hmm.
But you go in there and it was just like the most, like, it was the same guy behind the counter all the time. He was probably the owner, and he was just the most apathetic piece of shit guy, and I loved him. He didn't get excited over anything. He didn't care what you thought about him. You just went in there, you spent your money, and you left, or he kicked you out. It was one of those places.
Fair. Yeah.
And then later on, they would, like, they set up this little stage in the corner of the fucking store or whatever, and they would have, like, little just shitty kid bands come up there and play on the weekends.
That's adorable though. And like what an important, like, I don't know, an important contribution to the community.
Yeah. I was one of those shitty little kid bands that got to play there, and
Nice. Wait, you played
What?
CDX?
I
Yo!
played CDX. That was the height
Hell yeah.
of my drumming days. But yeah, it was just had a feeling about it. Like later on, they started buying like used clothes and selling clothes too. So like, you know, this is Texas. Where the hell are you going to find a Guttermouth shirt? CDX, that's where they are. You have to go there because you're not going to find them anywhere else.
I didn't even know who Guttermouth was before I met you.
Yeah, it was just.
But that was 2004.
You were not going to go to Target and find a Guttermouth shirt.
I wouldn't tend to think so. No.
Back then, you couldn't even find a Nirvana shirt. Like
I was gonna say, like, I don't even remember seeing Guttermouth at like Hot Topic or Gadzooks even.
No.
Like it's like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And you would describe your favorite T-shirt, and I was like, I would not have talked to you if you were wearing. I would not. Absolutely, I'm
upset that I no longer.
I
have
am
my
truthfully
Guttermouth shirt.
glad that we did not meet in high school.
Oh yeah, me too.
We would not have talked to each other.
And first of all, any friends that I had today, if any of you knew me in high school, you probably would not talk to me again. You wouldn't talk to me anymore because I was a fucking piece of shit.
I know. Well, and you wouldn't have talked to me either.
No. We'd have met. We would have had our way with each other, and then turned around and walked away.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, CDX, shout out, and to my mom, shout out to you too. I mean,
shout out to Chad's mom for dealing with that Guttermouth shirt. Holy shit! You want to describe what that shirt is?
No.
He said no.
No, it's hard to describe.
It's not.
It was kind of like just an outline of a guy bending over, spreading his butthole, and he was looking behind his shoulder at you, and he just said Guttermouth.
Because the butthole was the O in mouth, wasn't it?
No.
That's not even that clever.
No.
Ugh.
But yeah, I remember. I listened to a lot of punk as a kid, and there was an album that The Offspring released in, I want to say it was sometime in 97. It was called X-Nay on the Hombre, whatever year that came out.
Yes. 97, 98, one of those.
I remember I was in my friend's car driving around, and like one of the songs, it was the first time I'd heard like one of the new songs off that album.
Yeah.
I knew it was The Offspring, and I had all their other albums, and I was like, did they just come out with a new album? What the hell? So we drove to wherever, probably, I think it was Blockbuster Music at that point. We had a Blockbuster
I used to go to
Music
Sam
album.
Goody. I used to go.
And they didn't have it. They didn't know anything about this album or whatever.
What?
Anyways,
I remember it being a big
after
deal.
going back home, I made some phone calls that day trying to track down this fucking album.
I made some phone calls.
Yeah, I made phone calls. I was calling everywhere in the phone book that I could find that sold CDs.
Yeah.
And no one had it. And I was like, no one even knew about this thing. I'm like, I just heard this fucking song on the radio. I know this album exists. And finally, I got in touch with probably either like a Target or a Walmart. And they were like, oh, no, the album's not out yet. It doesn't come out until whatever date. And they gave me the date. And that was the first time I couldn't fathom, like, what do you mean it's not out yet?
Yeah.
I just heard this fucking song on the radio. And I just didn't understand, like, the concept of
I mean, that's building hype.
releasing singles before you release an album. I don't know. I bought punk
like
music.
that's
They never
often
played
been a
punk songs on the
thing.
radio.
Oh.
The bands I was listening to were not radio
But
bands.
they played like shit from Smash on the radio.
Yeah, they were not playing Screeching Weasel on
No,
The
but I
Edge.
mean specifically The Offspring. Because The Offspring.
The Offspring was one of The Offspring and Green Day were like the only.
I ever bought.
They were the only like remotely punk bands they were playing on the radio here.
No, that's. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
I was listening to like other stuff. I was listening to Circle Jerks. I was listening to Agent Orange. I was listening to The Crass. I mean, I can go on and on about bands that they would never play on the radio. But anyways, I was making calls and I found out that the album wasn't out yet. It didn't come out until such and such date, which was a Tuesday. And I was really bummed out.
Oh, that's random. Why the fuck would they do that when you're at school?
Yeah, I was really bummed out because I was like, okay, they're releasing on a Tuesday, whatever. So, but I remember coming home from school that day and the fucking album was on my dresser. My mother had gone out that day
Aw.
and bought me the fucking album because she remembered me trying to fucking make calls and
That
track
is
down this
very
album.
much the type of thing she would have done. I absolutely could see that.
And I will never forget that day. And there is a song on that album called Gone Away that another band that I can't think of off the top of my head has covered. And that cover version is very good. And now that she's dead, it reminds me of her. And it's kind of like a full
Aw.
circle thing that, like, you know,
Wow.
she bought me an album that had a song that now is
Yeah.
like special to me. So,
What the fuck? I never knew any of that.
yeah, dude.
It is astounding. I have known you for 20 plus years at this point. And
I
I've
have.
never, dude, by this point, 20 years ago, we had met. Like May of 2020, May of 2004 is when I first met you
Yeah.
at Don Pablo's.
That was the first time we met
Yes. And then we didn't talk for a couple of months.
because I was very drunk.
Yeah. You
I
introduced
don't remember meeting you.
I wasn't going down that road, but yes, you introduced yourself to me several weeks in a row because you were drunk every time. But you know
Very
what?
drunk.
I was like, because I vividly remember going, "Hi, I'm Chad," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still Jessica. Nice to meet you again." Yep. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I clearly had it every fucking week because I drew your attention multiple times.
Well,
so there
and
you go.
you kept coming back, so
No, I literally was just entering with my friends, and I would go there because,
we had the best parties.
no, this
Admit
wasn't at Ross's house. It was at Don Pablo's.
Oh,
Because you took a picture of me with Laurel in my tiger shirt.
I remember
because we gave you the
only
camera.
time I remember meeting you was at my house.
Oh no, we've met first at Don Pablo's when you were drunk. Because that's where I used to go. Because I could sing karaoke and win free shots.
Mhm.
And they they got shut down while I was in Cancun because it was great. I was 20 years old, and there was a well-known way to obtain alcohol without being
Yeah.
old enough to do it. They didn't, as long as, because my friend Laurel at the time was over 21, and she would go up and start a tab and then show her ID, and then you just go up to the bar and you're like, "Hey, I want a rum and
Yeah,
coke." Put it
was
on
very
Laurel's
easy
tab.
to get drunk at
Like,
Don Pablo's
literally.
underage.
Yeah, I
for
know.
sure.
It was great for me. And then they also did karaoke, and I would sing Evanescence and win free Jello shots and shit from that chick, the DJ with the short blonde hair. I don't
Mhm.
remember her name.
What was her
She
name?
was one of your friends.
Yes, she worked with me at Joe's Crab Shack.
Yeah,
I don't remember her name now.
I don't know.
Yeah, she was cool.
Dugan.
No, that wasn't Dugan.
It wasn't Dugan?
No.
Oh, never mind.
No.
But anyways. Yeah.
But yeah, that was just like one of those moments that, you know.
But no, it's really interesting to me that after all this time, there's this like super meaningful like thing in your life that I didn't know. It's surprising to me that there's still things I don't know about you.
Huh?
I like that. I like that there's still things I don't know that pop up every couple of years. I'm like, wait, hold on, that's a new one to me.
Wait till you find out things that you're not gonna like.
Oh, I know plenty of those.
Aw. Then I'll have to come up with more.
Nah, you're fine. I remember the 12-12 Loop 12 guy.
God, if anybody out there lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the 90s,
Oh my god.
you gotta remember this guy.
He
was
reminded me-
insane.
So a couple of weeks ago, JonTron did a video about Jim Adler, the Texas
Yes.
Hammer. And when I saw the thumbnail, and I was like, Chad, is that fucking Jim Adler? What the
Yeah.
hell? Because we grew up with that.
Who apparently is still hammering and hammering.
I'll
and
hammer and
hammering.
hammer to get you every last dollar or
Yeah.
whatever. But no, that made me think of the 12-12 Loop 12 guy. Here we
Okay,
go. Do
so-
the thing. You gotta do the thing. What did he
What?
say? What was his thing? If you don't come see me,
I can't save you any money.
I can't save you any money.
Yeah, this
He
guy.
was this
First of
overweight,
all, he
bald,
was
very
a bald.
red.
Yes, he was an overweight gentleman, balding,
Sweaty.
very very sweaty. He would get crazy eyes
He was on
going,
commercials.
and he would keep swinging his arm around
like a
as
clock.
If
Like
yes,
whoop, whoop,
as
whoop,
if it
whoop.
was not even attached.
It was like, I can do this, but it didn't look like this. Like, I swear to God, his elbow rotate. It was
Yes,
so
he would rotate
insane.
and he would just tell you about the insane deals while his arm is going crazy.
Yeah.
And he to be fair,
It's very memorable to this day.
Yes.
I know where that business was located because
Yes.
Loop 12 is like a small local highway type thing here, and that business was at 1212 Loop 12.
Yeah, it was a giant warehouse that
Yeah.
sold furniture.
Yeah, it's like a fucking discount whatever
Yeah,
surplus overage type.
Anytime
thing.
something got discontinued,
I
they would
never
buy a whole
actually
bunch
went
of
there.
it, and then you could.
I don't
go there
even
and
know
get it cheap.
what the business was called. I just remember 1212 Loop 12, and if you don't come see me, well, I can't
Yeah, I
save
don't
me
remember
any
the
money.
name of the
But yeah, no, I'm
business
sure
at
if you okay. Anyways, you talking about him for a second. I'm gonna see if he's on YouTube.
But what else can you say about him? He was just a.
It was creepy, but
he was
it was
just a freak.
well, that's rude. Let's see. Loop 12. Oh, 1212 Loop 12 commercial. Yeah, okay. It is there. Ew, he still does it. Okay, yeah. Just look up 1212 Loop 12 on YouTube and you can see this guy. Like it's apparently called Supermart Furniture. And yeah, that's a thing. He would have like, I don't know, furniture and all that stuff. And yeah, I found him on YouTube. So
Did you say he's still doing it?
No. Jesus, no. I just meant like old commercials. Someone uploaded them to YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So go look up 1212.
He's got to be dead. He has to be
I
dead.
don't know. I mean, he
I would
was
say he
like,
was probably in his
he was-
40s when he was doing that commercial.
But people in their 40s in the 90s looked hella different because we're in our 40s now.
Yeah.
And I will say I might not be perfect, but I do not look like the 12 guy.
No,
and nor do you.
But you're right. I mean, people did tend to look older. Like,
Well,
the
I mean,
further
that's
back you
always
go-
been the thing. Yeah, people playing teenagers in like the 60s, but they look 40. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
'cause they
and
were.
then like the most recent convention I went to with the kiddo, they thought I was the kiddo's friend and not mother. You know, so I'm like, okay. People think I'm in college a lot, and I'm like, I can't figure out if they're just being nice because I definitely do not look like I'm 25. Nor would I ever want to go back to being 25.
No,
But whatever.
Why would anybody want to do that?
No fucking thank you. I'm good now. Although we do love the 90s and we miss the 90s.
Yeah, shout out also to Blockbuster.
I feel like you have to talk about Blockbuster at least a month.
Here's the thing. I don't really remember renting things from Blockbuster in the 90s. My parents did.
Oh, well,
We went up there so that they could rent movies or whatever, but like
you didn't get to pick stuff?
well, the Blockbuster we had, they had like a section of like VHS tapes that like were previously viewed that you could just buy.
Sure.
And then they also had like a CD section.
Yeah. And
So,
games
like,
too.
Yeah, and like you could buy used video games.
I bought Flicky.
and
My dad was furious.
So when they would go up there to rent a movie or something, to me, it just seems stupid to rent a game that I had to bring back when I could just buy one there, or rent a movie when I could just buy one there. I preferred to have that because I had so much. I was a collector back then. Like
Yeah.
my room was.
I think like my dad just couldn't afford to buy all the games. We had a lot of Genesis games, but we would also rent things. Also, the things that he knew I liked to play because I'd come over every other weekend.
Well, this is kind of what I would do with like the half of my paycheck I could blow.
Oh, well, yeah, then that's different.
So like
You had kid money.
Yes,
It's like
I
how
had-
the kiddo
I
could
had
go to
no
conventions or
responsibility
Scarborough
money.
Fair and like spend hundreds of dollars and it's no big deal because he's got kid money.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you don't actually have bills and responsibilities.
Exactly.
Yet, so go for it.
You know, if I took
My dad didn't have kid
$50
money.
up there on a Saturday or something, I was
Yeah.
able to get a video game, a movie, and a CD. So, or a couple even.
Oh.
But like, yeah, and that's where I got a lot of like exposure to anime too, because that's where I
Yeah.
found like Ninja Scroll,
Probably
Ghost in the
Akira.
Shell,
Stuff like that.
Ranma 1/2. They had a bunch of those.
Fist of the North Star, possibly.
Yeah, basically all of those movies that I should not have been watching.
Oh,
as a
dude,
kid.
my childhood is filled with movies I should not have been watching. I saw heavy metal when I was like 7. You know, to be fair, my parents straight up told me, do not watch this. But then I was left alone. What the fuck do you think I'm going to do? Of course
Yeah.
I watched it. No, I mean, for me, and I've had this conversation, like specifically with one of my authors, Tom Reimer, because he's one of our horror authors, and he wrote this book called Odious Ghouls, that is like it's kind of like a found footage type, but mixed with 80s like stuff. Anyways, we wanted to, when I was making the cover for him, there was a specific vibe he was going for. And we talked about going to Blockbuster. And one of my favorite things to do, and his, was going to the horror section and looking at the covers and just being like, you know, there's so many movies that I never even saw, but I know those covers. I know those posters because you just kind of look at them in like a sick fascination type. It's like, oh, it's like scary stories to tell in the dark, you know, books like that where like the pictures are disgusting, but you can't look away. And there's kind of this sick little like.
Well, yeah. In the 90s, if you were in the horror section of a Blockbuster, most of these movies were made in the 80s anyway. And the 80s did not give a fuck when it came to.
That's why I was talking about like that book. Yeah, no, they
would try to outdo each other with the gore and shit on the cover because they knew that was going to get you to rent it. Yeah. Or buy it, whatever.
And I loved that. I loved doing that and just grossing myself out. And probably most of the movies were absolute garbage. I don't know. But the covers were awesome.
Yeah, there was a video store in my neighborhood growing up that like I only rented from there because they didn't sell things. They only rented things out. And it was called Tidal Wave Video. It was on Beach Street.
In Fort Worth.
I believe it was Beach Street out in Fort Worth, yeah. It was just in a shopping center with like a stop and go.
Dude, that's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go in there and it was this Asian couple that ran it, but like they had shit that like Blockbuster didn't have, like the Godzilla movies. That's where I got like exposed to Godzilla. And they were super cool because like I would go in there sometimes like when I was younger, much younger, and like I had whatever, $5 to rent something, and it'd be like $5 and some change or whatever. They would just be like, yeah, just go.
Yeah, see, that is something I miss about the 90s is the local video store. Because, I mean, Blockbuster was at my dad's house. At my mom's house, like once we moved to Arlington and I left behind that Nestle Alpine White for all time, we had a local video store. I said it was weird because it was also in a little strip mall with a stop and go. But ours was called On Video.
Stop and go was everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think Stop and Go exists anymore, honestly. I haven't seen it.
They probably got bought out by whatever they are now.
Like Quick Trip or something. But no, and it was the family that owned On Video, which was ours, lived in the same neighborhood that, you know, our houses were in. And AJ, their son, was but he was like in his 30s or whatever. He was the guy that was there. And he was awesome because, yes, like you said, if we didn't always have quite enough, he'd be like, go ahead. He also, like, he allowed us to take rent movies that maybe technically we shouldn't have.
Yes,
no porn. I need to say that because there was porn behind the beaded curtain.
Yeah,
he never even let us go in there.
But they definitely gave me rated R shit that I shouldn't have had.
Like Orgasmo. I rented that. The old Trey Parker, Matt Stone movie.
I mean, they were letting me rent Hellraiser movies, shit like that.
I mean, there was a lot of, I don't know, I rented Interview with the Vampire a lot. And it was a much smaller thing. They didn't have as many copies, but yeah, they did have more obscure. I mean, obviously Interview with the Vampire is not obscure, but like movies that maybe Blockbuster wouldn't. I don't think Blockbuster had Orgasmo or or Cannibal the Musical. That other, like, I guess I discovered because that was like before South Park, really, I believe. Yeah. So like.
I think it was slightly before South Park was a thing.
Yeah, not Basketball. Basketball was after.
Yes,
and I love Basketball. I to be fair, I haven't seen it in a long time, but for a while, it was like my favorite movie.
Basketball came out like
that's like 99, 2000.
Yeah, 99, I believe,
something like that.
South Park was already.
It was because he does Cartman's voice when he's insulting one of the people.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm getting off track, but no, the little local video store. You know, we would scrape together our dollars, you know, because it was $3 to rent. And surprisingly, there was never any tax. Like, obviously he was just like, yeah, give me $3. It's fine. Go for it. And we were very good at returning them. And when my mom went into labor to have my brother, my stepdad, Had to stop. It had to, and it's his fucking Patrick Bateman moment. He had to return some videotapes. He literally, on the way to the hospital, when my mom's water had already broken, he stopped it on video to return the videos because they were due that day. And he was like, well, I don't want any late fees. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's just like a piece of family lore at this point. I can't fucking believe he did that. It's so funny. My mom at the time did not find it funny. I kind of do.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, whatever. But yeah, that's on video.
Yeah, shout out to the Tidal Wave video. Like I said, like they would always hook me up with deals, or like if I was renting something and they'd be like, have you seen this one?
Yeah.
Like, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you need to see this one. Here, we'll give that to you. Just bring it back.
Yeah,
you know.
he was. Yeah, AJ knew his shit. Like he was always back there. Yeah, he often wore an Alice in Chains shirt. Like that's what I remember.
Yeah, I remember being super sad when that place closed down. But to be fair, they gave me like a whole bunch of their stock.
Oh, nice.
Because I remember going in there when they were closing, and they gave me a bunch of.
Dude, we had to be
movies.
Some of their best like customers. Like
they didn't give me any video games because they were going to give those to their kids.
It's
and,
understandable.
Yeah. But yeah, it was it was a sad day when they closed.
Lots of
and
moments.
I think that like they did that because the Blockbuster that we were going to, I mean, it was literally like right down the street. Like it was so close that
they can't compete.
Yeah. So they were. I wasn't the only one they were giving deals to or anything
Right.
like that. They were just.
But
doing
even
that.
still, that's mom
Yeah, it
and
was
pop
still-
versus corporation.
It's still a reason to get me in there to rent things because I wouldn't rent from Blockbuster. I just bought things from there.
Right.
I was never going to rent from Blockbuster. That sounded silly to me. Like rent and bring it back. Why? I could just go buy a copy over there for $10.
Well, because if you don't like it, then you don't have it.
I guess. But
It makes sense to rent it at least once.
I
to
also
know when-
didn't really buy things that I wasn't going to like. You know what I mean?
No, because
Like-
I was often like confounded by like the promise of a video game and what it actually was.
Typically, if I was going there to buy a movie, I had already seen it in theaters.
But I played all kinds of games, like on the regular Nintendo. That to this day I don't really know what the fuck to actually do. I just kind of run like Legacy of the Wizard. Like I loved that game, and I always was the pink dog because I liked the noise it made when he fell. But to this day, I don't really know how to play the game. Like you just wander, you run through, and you kill some things. But I definitely feel like I have missed the point of what
like
the
a
fuck
video
to
game.
do. No, but like I never really seemed to progress anywhere. I would just run around this big fucking dungeon and kill some things, but like I don't know what the point was. I don't really know why. I don't know. But games are like that.
Yeah, it's almost like they just
Well,
made
'cause they
games
were-
that kind of sucked sometimes.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think it was meant for a slightly older child or like, teenager adult or something. Or, like the Spy versus Spy game on the Nintendo. I had never read Mad Magazine. I didn't know what the fuck Spy versus Spy was.
Yeah, at that
I did
point,
not understand the point to
I was
this.
very aware of who they were because
Well, you're
my
a
dad
couple
had a
years,
subscription to Mad Magazine.
You're
And
a
he
couple
would give
years
them to
older
me
than
after
me
he read
too.
them. Yeah.
Because my mom used to go play D&D at some friend's house, and she'd have to take me with her. And their two games they had were Spy versus Spy and Super Mario 2. So I would play Super Mario 2 and then put Spy versus Spy in and just be like, I'm like 8. Like, okay, if he moves and I move, what am I doing?
To be fair, that game was very cryptic.
I had no idea.
It was not
And
a
I
good
mean,
game.
Yeah, I couldn't like go on fucking YouTube and look up I couldn't Google a walkthrough. I was just like,
Yeah.
what do I
Which
do?
brings me to another thing that I miss about the 90s.
Uh-huh.
Strategy guides.
You are a big fan of strategy guides.
Strategy guides were awesome. Like the first one that I ever got was when I bought Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
The guy at the store recommended I get the strategy guide too. And I was like, what do you mean? What? I got to buy a magazine
What?
for this? And he's like, no, trust me.
You will want this, my guy.
Everybody who has bought this game has come back and bought the strategy guide. You're going to want this. So I bought that, and like that was just like a really fucking cool thing to have, like you know, just by your side playing these games, because like before Final Fantasy VII came along, like I knew what RPGs were. I played Zelda, you know, I had played
Dragon Warrior.
I had played
I mean, it's Dragon
a couple of the
Quest,
Final
but
Fantasy games
Dragon
on
Warrior.
Super Nintendo
Yeah.
and Nintendo, but like I had no idea what I was getting into with this, because this
Right.
was like hundreds of hours that I put into this thing, completing it, and
Yeah.
without that strategy guide, I probably wouldn't have, you know.
Yeah.
And that just became normal for a long time. To when you went to buy a game, you bought the strategy guide because you were going to use it, you know. Again, now that we have the internet, you don't need to do
Well,
that.
yeah,
We
because
have
like
walkthroughs
that's
and-
been an evolution since you and I have been together. Because like I remember I mean, this isn't the 90s, but playing Final Fantasy X on the PS2, you would play, and I was the strategy guide, and I'd have the strategy guide, and
Yeah.
I'd keep you up to date and all of that, and it was a fun, like we would play together. I'm like, all right, now don't forget this, and go over here, and here's a tip, and da da da, and you would do it, you know, and it was a fun activity.
yeah,
and-
strategies for defeating bosses,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
But
Yeah.
and then it kind of transitioned into, all right, I'm gonna look up a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the strategy guide part of it
by the time we
went
got
to Game Facts.
yeah, by the time we got to like Final Fantasy 12, I
Yeah.
think it was already just
So
looking
then
it up on our phone.
Yeah, or Bait and Kaitos. I remember, you know, I'm looking up
Yeah.
a walkthrough for that, and just like, all right, go here, all right, do this, like, you know. So and which I'm glad we have the online walkthroughs, but there is something to having the strategy guide. It's all like beautifully illustrated. It's like a, you know, an actual physical, tangible.
Yeah, not only that, but like there was like
it was nice.
It came with a bestiary, so you knew exactly
Yeah, sure.
like what enemies were weak against what, and like, you know, it gave you tips for grinding to get.
They
better.
weren't cheap either.
No, they were like $20.
Yeah.
I think the going rate was like $19.99 until it like eventually got to the point where like I think GameStop started selling used ones, and those were like $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you bought the game with the strategy guide, it would be like
They
would discount
a
it
few
or something. It
bucks
was like
off,
a bundle deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, like if you even go into
Well, I don't
a
remember.
GameStop, do they even have
Yeah,
strategy
no, they
guides?
do. I don't remember what we were trying to find a strategy guide for you. It's been several years, but the strategy guide was like $50. I don't remember what the
I
fuck
don't
it was.
know.
It was some big thick ass game, and I was like, "What the shit?"
I have no idea what that even could have been.
I don't know. I just remember that because we were like, "Fuck that!" I'm just look it up online, and that was like the last hurrah of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like, you know, just another thing about the 90s, which, yeah, I mean, strategy guides made their way into the 2000s, but, you know, they got their start in the 90s,
Sure.
you know. I believe the first game that I remember even having a strategy guide was probably Earthbound, but that's because it came with it.
They're like, "You're gonna want this."
Yeah, right. No, like it was in the box.
Yeah,
The box was
yeah, yeah.
ridiculously big. It was the size of a strategy guide, and like there was just a full book in there telling you how to play the game. And that was the first like thing that I remember. I had a friend that had Earthbound, and I remember just flipping through that thing, going like, "This is kind of cool. Why don't other games do this?" And sure enough, they did. So, yeah, that's just another thing about the 90s.
Yeah. So yeah, you were talking about how you had a lot of magazines, kind of the strategy guides, whatever, but you got a lot of magazines delivered. I did have magazines delivered to me in the 90s as well. They just weren't video game ones. Did you ever?
Porn.
Absolutely. The most hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah, it figures.
Yeah. No, they had a lot of like children's magazines. Like, did you ever
Highlights.
read Highlights was kind of
Jack and Jill.
meh.
Mm.
I did have Jack and Jill. I had 3-2-1 Contact, which is like a sciencey one.
This was
I
kind of a
really liked.
holdover from the 80s, because the 80s they had a lot of that going on in the 80s, and then
Ranger Rick, I think.
yeah, that's another one that like started in the 80s, I believe, and then just kind of worked its way into the 90s.
Yeah, 3-2-1 Contact was my favorite one, I think, because oh god, what fucking magazine was it? I remember that there was this story where they toured the Ben and Jerry's factory, and it was all about like behind the scenes. And I remember they like cut a pint like open like down like side, like in the thing.
Yeah, so you can see like
And, yeah, and then they'd get to try them all, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I don't know. It showed kids doing a lot of cool shit and different science things because I liked science.
Yeah,
things.
they would have like science experiments. They'd have puzzles. They
Yeah.
would, you know, coloring pages, things like that.
It
Yeah,
was fucking fun.
I definitely remember.
And-
I had something like that in like the late '80s that like my Aunt Donna like subscribed.
Oh yeah,
to
no,
me
like
too.
these are all things that I feel like. Oh well, to be fair, my grandmother always did make sure, for whatever reason, that I had an active subscription to Cat Fancy.
It's because she wanted to read it too.
Well, because she also had her own subscription.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you know,
there were a lot of magazines
which
that my
is just
dad had
about
subscriptions
cats.
to.
And
For
then it would
me-
have the poster in the middle of a different like breed of cat like that was featured that month. They're like, ooh, Russian blue. I'm like,
Yeah.
thanks, Grandma. But then you have to like, you can't not. When she was like, did you get your? And I was like, yeah, thank you.
I'm-
What am I supposed to do with all of these?
Cat Fancy is one of those magazines.
There was
that
Dog Fancy and stuff.
One of
but-
I remember
Oh
one of
my
my
God.
teachers at school had like a subscription to it, and she would bring the issues up there and
I
put it in like
guarantee
on the
you-
table for reading
yeah,
time.
my grandma was probably. I mean, my grandma taught 7th grade English for like 40 years. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah. Magazines definitely used to be a thing, but like you know, I remember like
they would be in doctors' offices.
yes, yeah.
Especially
Same
like
with highlights.
and-
Yeah. And I don't know. I loved getting magazines though, because again, it's that like when you're a kid getting things in the mail, you're like, ooh,
Yeah, that's a
oh, it has my name
special
on
thing.
it. Dad, that's to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
No,
if
the-
it's cat fancy.
I think the best thing that I ever got in the mail as a kid, when I signed up for my subscription to Nintendo Power,
Mhm.
the very first issue that they sent came with Dragon Warrior.
I love Dragon.
Like it came with an actual fucking Nintendo game.
Really?
Yes.
I love that game.
Just for subscribing. And like that was like my first like I already had Zelda, so I
Mhm.
knew what an RPG was, but this one was
This one's different though.
this was turn-based.
Yeah.
It was you had to think ahead. Like this was my first like turn-based RPG experience.
Yeah.
And I hated it. at
Really?
first. Yeah, I hated
Oh,
it.
I
at
love
first.
it.
But it was one of those things that like, you know, when you're a kid, you don't always get a Nintendo game every month. You know what I mean? Like
But it's still an event.
yeah,
even if it's
so,
not the best
like you
game.
had
But Dragon Warrior is great. I will fight you on
if
that.
you bought a game, you really had to like force yourself to like it. If you didn't like it or love it immediately, you didn't have much else. and
That's
you just
how I
kinda-
was with the Jurassic Park game on the Genesis. It was the first game I got for whatever reason. I didn't pick it.
Yeah.
It was the one where you could be Alan Grant or the Raptor. So
Yes.
obviously you're the fucking Raptor. But
Do I want to be a pathetic ass human or do I want to be a
I mean,
badass
Alan
dinosaur?
Grant's
Let
a
me
good
guess.
guy, but it's like fucking Raptor. Of course I'm going to be the damn Raptor. But the game itself wasn't good. And I was like, ugh. But it's like what I had. So,
Yeah, I mean, I
okay.
played it. It
No,
was
Dragon
fine.
Warrior was great. Like those old school like turn-based RPGs, like that was my first experience of because you have that moment of almost fear and excitement when the music starts.
When a slime appears.
Well, before you even see what the fuck, it's like, what's it gonna be? Especially if you're like starting to move into a different area.
Yeah.
And you're like, because at first, obviously, it's slimes, right? It's the blue slime or the red slime. You don't get the metal slime until later.
Yeah, and
But then it's
suddenly
like a
you find a
ghost.
dragon and you're like,
Oh, the
"What
dragons,
fuck?"
Jesus Christ. No, or warlock. You're like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, run. But
Yeah.
I
Dragon
love that
Warrior
game.
was one of those games that like I hated it at first.
why?
But
Out
the
of
more
curiosity.
the more I like because I didn't
Did
get
it
it.
school your ass?
I was just too young to get it.
Oh.
And then as I played
I
it
loved
more
it.
and more and figured out, okay, so like that's when I figured out grinding.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out and you just stay
See,
around,
I like grinding though. So
you just grind around a town.
Yes, you do.
So that
yeah.
you can get back to the town, and when you need to heal, you
Yep.
can just go sleep at the inn or whatever, get
Absolutely.
your health back, and then go out and
And
grind
and
some
you
more.
slowly widen your circle
Yes.
to where you're easily
Yes.
able to take on, a little further.
Once you figure it out, it actually does become fun. And
I
wound
love
up,
that game.
Like really loving the game.
And I know it's called Dragon Quest by most other people, like in Japan.
Yeah, we had no idea.
It was literally Dragon Warrior.
Time.
So when you see a slime, to me, that's Dragon Warrior in my mind because that's the name I connect with it. It was made by Toriyama. He was the character designer who created Dragon Ball and recently died.
Yeah,
but yeah, he made the slime, and I love the slime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I know Dragon Ball is like very important, and I acknowledge that. Not really my thing. To me, it's the slime. I love the slime. Anyways.
All right, so what do you got next?
Well, I said 3, 2, 1 contact. What do you have next?
What do you have next?
Oh my God. D-hole.
I didn't write anything down.
Yeah, I know.
I figured like I don't like.
Well, okay. How about let's talk about. I mean, this is the 90s. Yeah, no, absolutely. All the fucking game shows for kids on Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
God damn it, I wanted to be a Silver Snake from Legends of the Hidden Temple. That is the best team. I wanted to be on that. To this day, anytime we'll watch a Game Grumps video and occasionally Aaron will do the voice like race down the silver monkey, and I'm like, it's the thing. I wanted to be on Guts. Like I wanted to climb the
Double
fucking
Dare.
aggro crag. I wanted to be on Double Dare. Give me the slime. I will find those flags. Like it was Legends of the Hidden Temple looked like the most fun. But only if you can get to the end. Like I just want to run through that fucking place.
You know what
to
game
this
show?
Day I would.
You know what game show I wanted to be on?
What?
I don't remember.
Okay, cool. Good conversation.
I don't really remember the name of it. I think it was called Video Power.
Oh.
It's the one where like the final thing was running through a maze of video games with a Velcro suit,
and
just
sticking
Velcroing everything on you.
Yeah.
These kids were walking out of there with like 100 different games. They had game systems in their hands, and like I really wanted to go on that. That looked like a lot of fun. Anyways, continue.
No, but I mean, it wasn't just kids video game. I really wanted to be on Supermarket Sweep when I was a kid to get the big sweep, and I
don't understand this show. I don't understand it at all.
I really just want it. It really what it boils down to is I want free range to run and cause chaos and get a bunch of shit within a time limit. You want
the excitement of stealing $1,000 worth of merchandise.
Well, no, it's not. No, because it's not stealing. Because I'm allowed to. But there's strategy involved, and like, what would you like? How would you win? How would you be better at this?
This seems
and
like
all of that.
Look, I've seen episodes of this show. It just seems like one of the lamest game shows.
Whatever, fuck you. I just want to do the big
What do you walk out of there with? Groceries?
I don't care. I don't give a shit about.
I mean, to be fair, these days that might be helpful.
Are you serious? I'd go get a bunch of briskets and chickens and cheese.
Yeah, now that I'm older, it's like, yeah, I understand.
Me?
But like back
each
then,
one's like $80.
When I was a kid watching this show, like I just didn't understand it. There was a game show, a video game show that like did the same thing for kids that you walked out with video games.
That would also be good.
That was far more exciting to me as a kid.
What was that mall one? Shop till you drop.
I have no idea what that is. It was like a
fake mall. I was sick a lot as a kid. So I stayed home from school a lot. And sometimes I even actually was sick. Sometimes I did pretend to be sick. And my mom can tell you horror stories.
Yeah, we all did that.
About like me like getting food out of the fridge from the night before and tearing it up into little pieces and throwing it in the toilet and being like, oh, I threw up.
The best way for me to stay home from school is like if it was a morning where my mom was just like, she was just having a morning.
Yeah.
She was over it.
Yeah.
She was running late. She was running behind, and I'd be like, oh, well, that's good. I'm sick. And she's like, good, whatever. I don't care.
Excellent.
I got to get to work.
Now I don't have to deal with this. See you later, child. No, but
watch Price is Right. Shut the fuck up.
Well, that's the thing. So I watched a lot of video, or not video. I watched a lot of game shows during that time because I was home.
That's what was on during the day.
Exactly,
it was talk shows, soap operas, and game shows.
And I did not give a shit about soap operas. Like my respective grandmothers had their soap operas. Nanny had Days of Our Lives. Grandma had Bold and the Beautiful, As the World Turns, and what is it? Something like Guiding Light. So I don't care.
General Hospital.
Yeah, no one watched General Hospital or The Young and the Restless, as far as my grandparents or whatever. But no, so I had a lot of video game, or goddamn, I keep saying video games. I had a lot of game show time. But the kids ones on Nickelodeon were always the best because obviously they are the most fun. And
yes, people were.
To this day, if whoever owns the rights to Legends of the Hidden Temple, do you have any idea how much fucking money they could make if they scaled it up for adults and charged us to get in? Do you know how many fucking people my age would injure a hip trying to get to the fucking Shrine of the Silver Monkeys? You can put that shit together and pretend you're not halfway to the grave because I can finally achieve this goal.
Yeah,
Holy shit. It's a $1 billion idea. I promise you. So many people my age would love that shit.
I really don't think they're interested.
I know. It's terrible.
Nickelodeon's got problems these days.
Yeah, well, I'm not even going. I'm not talking about anything to do with that quiet on the set shit. Nope. I just want to answer questions and run through a maze.
But kind of in that same vein too, like I miss like the sitcoms, right? Like not really the sitcoms, but like the shows. Cause like I miss when The Simpsons was good.
Yeah.
When like through the 90s, when The Simpsons had a new episode coming out, like if you were a kid and you missed that, you were the lamest fucking person the next day at school.
It was at 6:30 at Fox 33. That's when The Simpsons came
because
out.
all your friends were talking about Monday was the episode of Simpsons that they saw the night before. And if you didn't see it, you were left out of that loop and it sucked.
Loser.
Yeah. But also like, I really loved Ren and Stimpy.
Yep.
Like I really, really loved watching the new episodes of Ren and Stimpy and just like you said, the Nickelodeon shows that were on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I miss sitcoms. Like this goes back to what we talked about earlier in the podcast was the sitcoms were also like themed around holidays.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Home Improvement and Roseanne.
Home Improvement. Yeah, both of those shows were
with
like
their Halloween
really
episodes.
big in the Halloween and the Christmas
and
episodes.
Christmas, yeah.
Not only that, but like just during the holidays in general, like, there would be some kind of like primetime special with like Snoopy.
Well, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Or
Or Great
Garfield.
Pumpkin.
Garfield had a bunch of them too that they would just show and
Well, I
like
feel like you could definitely watch them. It's just not,
it. This was a time
I do
when
everything I can to make Christmas an event in this house.
yeah,
I really do.
But now I'm an adult and I don't care.
I know, and I get no help.
But yeah, every sitcom had some kind of Halloween special or Christmas special,
Yeah.
whatever, Thanksgiving special. It tended to be those
Sure.
those holidays. They didn't really do like New Year's or
Well,
4th of
Easter.
July or Easter.
I feel like Easter was a thing.
Yeah, I think Garfield had an Easter special, but they would show these things at like 7 p.m., and
Sure.
during an era where like
Grinch.
cartoons did not come on
Grinch.
during primetime television.
Yeah.
At least not on regular, TV. Maybe on cable they did, because I think like Cartoon Network was a thing
Cartoon
sometime
Network,
around
yeah.
1991 or 2, where they would. But back then it was just like old episodes of the Flintstones and the Jetsons and shit.
Yeah.
Any of the Hanna-Barbera shit
Stuff
from
that
like
I
the
never
60s
really
and 70s.
cared about one way or the other.
Yeah, it wasn't until
Personally,
like the
meh.
late 90s that they started making original shows specifically for
Right.
Cartoon Network. Which I think was it Boomerang at that time?
I do remember Boomerang TV.
Was that the same thing?
Well, from what I recall, Boomerang was an offshoot of Cartoon Network where they sent all the classic, like the older cartoons. Whereas
Yes, okay,
Cartoon
so-
Network became more eventually into the early 2000s, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, once they started
you know,
making specific
Ed, Ed, and Eddie, that
shows
Cow
for
and
Cartoon
Chicken,
Network,
all
then
of those.
Boomerang became like classic
Yes,
Cartoon
they
Network.
moved all of that stuff over to Boomerang.
So until like 97, 98, something like that, it was just like Flintstones and Jetsons and
I think some of it had already started because by that point, Kalen was very small. I judge stages in my life by where Kalen is. Was he here? How big was he? Okay, if he was this old, we were watching. I
feel the same about my like nieces and nephews.
Yeah, it's like Nick Jr. So, because it was like Roly Poly Oly and stuff like that, but that wasn't Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
I feel like it was starting. It was definitely starting. But it was the later 90s, early 2000s where it really started taking off, and like, because even Nickelodeon had Ren and Stimpy in the mid 90s.
I mean, sometime in like the first show that I remember being a primetime sitcom show that was animated was The Simpsons. Like that was just mind blowing that you were watching a cartoon at night.
Oh, see, I was just taken for granted in my life.
Just because cartoons back then were typically associated with like before school or Saturday morning,
I also grew up watching a lot of adult animation that I shouldn't have watched. So, like heavy metal, like Wizards, the Ralph Bakshi movie, stuff like that. So I guess maybe you and I had slightly different. I'm the oddity here. Most kids did not grow up watching adult animation type stuff.
I mean, I did.
So
my dad was showing me shit I shouldn't have seen.
I know, I am sure.
But that wasn't like being televised.
But I guess I was young because I'm younger than you. I didn't really. I'm just like, oh, this is how it is. I mean, cartoons. Yeah, like that's school or after school, like before school or after school. It's like Sonic in the morning while I eat my waffle, and then I watch Garfield and Friends, and after, obviously Ninja Turtles and stuff like that.
And then the Fox network,
and then boring news shit. And then The Simpsons.
The Fox network is the one that like really kind of pioneered that whole like we've got The Simpsons, we've got King of the Hill. It was like there was a
King of the Hill was later, but
for a while there was like it was in their entire Sunday night was just a 2-hour block of cartoon sitcoms.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of cool. And then it just became so common that
the Comedy Central obviously had South Park and stuff, a little later on. But yeah.
So it just once it became common, and especially now with streaming, like it's just not even a thing anymore. It's could care less, but like
you just watch what you want when you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I realized a couple of weeks ago our smart TV has like cable channels in it.
Yes.
Like what the fuck?
It's just a built-in antenna.
I was trying to find something. I don't remember. There was some show I was trying to see if they had probably some anime to see if I really had to turn on the switch to get to Crunchyroll because Funimation is no more, and I'm fucking angry. But yeah, I don't remember how, but I ended up, like the screen with the times and the channels, like, and it's scrolling through and it's showing me. Thank you. I couldn't remember what the fuck it was called because I'm old. Yeah, I was like, whoa. And the kiddo was sitting there and I was like, oh, there's a blast from the past. And he was like, ma'am, it's always been here. What are you talking about? And I was like, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then it was terrible because I was like, I don't want to watch that right now. And like, that's halfway through. And like, oh, no. Things are better now when it comes to that. Actually, fuck this. I had shocked, pleased nostalgia for like 10 seconds. And I was like, you know what? Actually, fuck this.
Anymore, that's all you get.
Meh.
It's it's your nostalgia orgasm.
Yeah. Like, oh! yeah, my post nostalgia clarity kicked in. And I was like, actually, this sucks. I'll just turn on the switch.
Yep. I'll just watch anything I want to watch now because we live in that world. But it was one of those, the 90s was definitely that time of, if it was on, you had to be there at 7:00 to watch it, or you just didn't get to that
for
week.
Sure.
You had to wait until the summer when they would rerun it,
I didn't care
episodes.
that much. If I missed it, I missed it. But I was also a girl. Like,
yeah,
I know that's like whatever, but like the girls are not really talking about the Simpsons.
I remember
I watched it.
I remember trying to like going to school and like people would be talking about like a TV show or something that I missed, and I'd just like try to lie my way through it. Just like, I remember that.
Just agree and be like, yeah, no, that was crazy.
Yeah. just so I didn't look like a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Good old days. What do you got next?
Well, I think by this point,
wrap it up.
With one, yeah, we got to talk about the thing. There is one product in this world that will unite you and me. Absolutely.
We will start a war.
I literally,
for this product.
Okay, well, let's talk about what it is, and I will tell you the lengths to which I have gone because I will never get over it.
No, I'm still pissed off.
I am never going to be truly okay to the depths of my soul. There will always be this one No matter how successful I am in life, no matter how many loved ones I have, no matter how massive my manga, my figures, like it doesn't matter what I have in life. My rosebud.
It is. Everything I own is meaningless.
No.
If it meant trading it all for this one product
I don't
back.
know what. I miss you. I miss you, PB Crisps.
PB Crisps.
I blocked Mr. Peanut on Twitter.
I am never buying another Planters product ever.
I don't buy Planters. I literally have boycotted them since the 90s. First of all, they took away the good cheese balls, right? Because they used to like come in this big blue can in the 80s and they're delicious. But PB Crisps, they are my rosebud. They are my white whale. They are like...
It is the one thing about the 90s I miss the most.
It was the first thing on my list. Yeah, whenever anybody brings up childhood or anything, we were talking, not this week, but last week, because we've kind of been talking about doing this episode for a while.
Yeah.
I brought up to my mom, I was like, what's the number one thing I would miss from the 90s? And she was like, PB Crisps. She didn't even hesitate. She fucking knows. And she was like, to her, they're fine.
So for you out there who weren't alive during this product's run or don't understand what it is.
So sorry for you.
It was an experience. Okay, so first of all, it was a snack.
Yeah.
It was like a snack cookie.
Yeah, they came in a little pouch that was like orange
It was a 3D peanut that was full of peanut butter.
Yeah, it was a 3D peanut cookie type thing, but it wasn't.
It was
quite
a cookie shell.
Because it had like a kind of give when you bit into it.
It had a very unique texture.
Yes.
It had a very unique flavor.
And it had peanut butter cream in the middle.
And they were amazing. And you could go through a whole bag of these things without even giving a fuck.
Absolutely.
Because they were delicious.
And it was fun if you bit them in half because it kind of went, down in the middle. It was fun if you bit them on the big end because then you're like, They
were perfect. And then they had to go fuck it up by making other flavors that were just atrocious.
Dude, I disregard those. As far as I'm concerned, the chocolate ones, the
chocolate
PB&J
ones were awful.
ones, they did not exist as far as I am concerned. PB Crisps.
The original.
Are
the peanut butter PB Crisp.
Of humanity.
Yes. This was by far, and don't go saying that you can go get a fucking...
It's not the same. Dude, I have fucking looked up it's just the same, things on Pinterest.
Nutter butter is not PB Crisp.
No, what the fuck?
Period.
No, that's not even...
Stop telling me to go get Nutter Butters.
That's not even remotely close. It's not the same texture. It's not the same taste. It's not the same mouthfeel. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's...
Not the same size.
They just kind of popped in your mouth when you bit into them. And,
it was so satisfying. It's the most satisfying, bite.
Yeah.
I know exactly how it feels. In my mouth, I have phantom PB Crisp syndrome.
I really, really, really miss this product.
Oh.
And I remember when they discontinued it, because I loved them. My parents loved them. We went to the store. We were going to buy as many of these things as we could because they were discontinuing them, which everyone else in our neighborhood apparently had that same idea, because when we got there, when we went to several different stores to get these things, and they were all sold out of the originals. All they had was the chocolate and the fucking peanut butter and jelly ones.
Nobody wants that shit.
So we settled on the chocolate and the peanut butter and jelly ones, and they were disgusting.
See, I would have just been like, I guess this is it for me, because I don't want my last memory to be tainted.
This is it. I have to end it all.
Well, I just meant as far as PB Crisps go, I would not have gotten the chocolate or the PB&J ones because they're not the same.
I never got them when they had the option of the peanut butter ones. The only reason we got the other ones was because they didn't.
I know. I'm just saying, I'm a purist when it comes to PB Crisps.
Yeah.
And I would have just been like, well, I guess that's it.
And I'm very surprised that no other company has tried to.
Well, the problem is because everybody I knew loved them. My mom was indifferent. They were fine. But they were my favorite thing.
Yeah, to this day.
Favorite thing.
They've been discontinued for 30 years now.
I am not over it. I'm still mad.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, they lost the right to the machine that made they lost the they had like leased the copyright or whatever from whoever this company is that created the machine.
Right.
And
Yeah, we watched
ran out. We
watched
watched
a YouTube documentary on this.
We're very passionate about the PB Crisps.
So yeah, whatever machine it was that made these fucking cookie things, they lost the rights to use it.
Yeah.
And they never renewed it.
And well, I think like the company that like they wanted too much money, right? They were like, and Planters should have paid it.
It was more and more money every time they renewed the contract because they knew they were making a killing off these things, which
they were, so give them more money.
Yeah, but then that's less profit. For whatever reason, they did the math on this, and it was not going to equate to bigger sales.
I guess.
It was just going to cost them more money, so they stopped. I get it, but I'm still kind of pissed off. It sucks, but, life goes on.
Does it?
Somehow.
Does it really?
Somehow it does.
There's been a shadow over the world ever since, a veil.
It is depressing to think that we will never again have a PB Crisp. You know how when they say that when you die, like your family is there and they like usher you into the afterlife? All of my family is going to have bags of PB Crisps.
Yeah, dude.
Just like, come on,
with the peanut
butter. You want to be here? And I'll be like, yeah, absolutely. Get me out of the real world and into yours because I want those PB Crisps.
Oh, no, if anybody was ever trying to abduct me, like even to this day, fucking pull up in the shadiest van ever.
Man, you want a bag of PB Crisps?
Girl.
Yes, I do.
I do. I will take.
I will get in your murder van. Give me a bag of these things, and you can do whatever you want. I will drown the trauma with PB Crisps.
It doesn't matter. But the mouthfeel. But the unique bite. Oh,
I won't even remember what you're doing to me.
Yeah,
I'm going to remember
I will be in my happy
sweet taste of those PB Crisps.
I will be in my happy place.
Yes.
With PB Crisps. The last
bring them back.
time I was
Just bring them back.
Happy.
I don't care. I don't even care if it's like, if it's one of those things with like, you remember with the fucking Rick and Morty sauce that they brought back?
The Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, that you bring back PB Crisps, and I will stand in line for like fucking 7 months to get a bag.
Chad and I will tag team. Like we will just tag out.
Yes.
And go back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got PTO.
I got PTSD. Bring them back. All right. Well, that was the one thing from the 90s that we could absolutely agree on.
There's nowhere to go from here.
No.
If you're talking about what you missed from the
90s peaked at PB Crisps. When they got rid of those, the 90s ceased to exist. They went away with the PB Crisps.
A lot of the light in the world left.
Yeah.
And look where we are now.
And now we're...
would we be where we are now if PB Crisps still existed?
We would be better as a civilization.
I mean, it's a distinct possibility.
Be creating different things.
Everything would be the same, but I would have PB Crisps.
So I wouldn't care as much.
Well, it's more just like, it's a little sweetness to help. And
yeah.
But I don't know. Let's try it and see. Bring them back.
Before I get too depressed that they're gone, we should probably end this thing.
Oh, okay.
And call this an episode.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed our little trip down nostalgia lane here. The 90s were definitely a unique experience. Like I said before, I think that they were like the last decade to have an identity before we just got into this digital age of bullshit. Like, what the fuck is a new iPhone? Who cares? They're all the same to me. What the fuck is a new video game system? I don't give a shit. They're all the same to me.
No, I don't agree with that.
I just don't. The 90s was like the last time, maybe even into the early 2000s. And we might do an episode on the early 2000s too, because I remember the transition between the PS1 and the PS2 was like a big deal. And even in some ways from, the PS2 era into the PS3 era where things were in HD.
I mean, I remember getting the PS3 and turning it on for the first time.
Yeah, and having
in the dark
Blu-ray,
and
having a Blu-ray player built into a fucking video game system. With the PS2, we got the DVD, built-in DVD. But to me, the 90s was like the last decade to have like a true identity and like things that you can remember from from that time period that is so
I
just
feel like people from other ages feel that way about theirs. So
yeah. I mean, there are just things from the 90s that are so tied to that nostalgia for me that
Yeah.
it's just like it existed there.
I think
it
it's a
only
blindness you
existed
have
there.
for your stuff, but that's totally cool. And it was fun talking to you about stuff.
So we will call that an episode. Where can people
Yay.
find you?
My name is Jess Moon. I am at JHL Moon on Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that.
Cool.
I know, it is cool.
Yeah, you can find me same places, not Blue Sky, but I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram.
You're at Chad J Moon.
At Chad J Moon.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that I'm good and depressed, let's leave it there.
Okay.
And
Yay!
I hope you guys had a good time.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I'm gonna go hang myself now.
Oh, that's not funny. I don't want to clean up after that.